Good day, doctor and everyone. My name is Ng Jingping and my metric number is 279-091. Now, I am going to present about the introduction. In this project, we choose a grocery store, Halamat MSF, and we run an interview with the internal auditors of the store, Dr. Zafran bin Abdul Qadir. The purpose of this report is we want to study about the operating issue faced by Halamat MSF and provide solutions to solve the issue. There are a few importance of budgeting. The first important is helping the business to plan for future. The second important is budget can attract the investors. The third importance is budget can help decision making. The fourth important is motivating the employees. The important finding is there are 7 issues faced by the store, which is does not have specific budget, difficult to collect information about transaction, struggling to set a realistic budget, hard to achieve targeted sales, lack of marketing strategy, lack of employees, and lack of exposure of the business. The remaining part of this report will discuss about the case background first and followed by the operating issue and reflection, accounting information, solution, discussion and recommendations, and end with the conclusion.
Assalamualaikum and good day to Dr. Belal. My name is Nur Aisyah Shahira binti Zarfan, number matric 281438. My presentation will focus on the case background. To start with, we will look at the overview of the business first. The business name is Halal Mat MSF that was formed in July 2019, located in Jutera Kedah. It is owned by Koperasi Syariah Masjid Sharifah Fatimah Jutera Berhad, which was registered under Lembaga Koperasi Malaysia. Basically, the business is more to retailing and therefore, the products that are offered by the business is of course grocery items. The objective of the business is to get profit and execute social responsibilities to the members of the cooperative and other people around it who needs help. Meanwhile, the motto of the business is to provide halal products to people. Next, we move to the competition aspect of the business. According to the internal auditor of the business, the competition level is low as there is no other grocery shop located along the same road with the business. But it doesn't mean that the business does not need to have a strategy to sustain and to improve the business, because right now the members are still struggling to achieve the targeted sales for the business due to MCO before and also due to the factor that the business is still new in the market. Their strategy right now is they are the one that needs to find customers instead of waiting for customers to come and buy groceries from Halal Mat MSF. Right now, they will prepare hampers containing essential goods and offer the hampers to any society or to any NGO who wants to give donations to public, especially during this pandemic COVID-19 situation. They need to ensure the sustainability of the business because the business is crucial for them as they can easily buy groceries from the business after they perform prayers, and also they can get benefits of being the members of the cooperative too. Lastly, before we go deeper into the main aspect of this case, I will touch a little bit about the rules of the games for a successful business. According to the interviewee, which represents the members of the cooperative, said that in order for a business to be successful, the owners need to come up with other alternatives to overcome the struggles and problems they are facing right now. In short, they need to be creative to come up with good solutions. Secondly, they need to have consultation or sharing session with specific party or right person. For example, the members of the cooperative always conduct meeting and keep updates on what they plan with Lembaga Koperasi Malaysia. And from the meeting, Lembaga Koperasi Malaysia can give help after they know what are the current situation that the cooperative is facing right now. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Eldin Fani binti Ahmad Fauzi and my matrix number is 281508. So today I will continue the presentation with part 3, which is accounting information of the business. Information is the basis of every accounting. In the case of Halal Mat MSF, the grocery shop has a budget planning for every year, but unfortunately, the grocery shop does not have any financial planning. Since Halal Mat MSF is an initiative business by the Koperasi Qaryah Masjid Sharifah Fatimah Jita Berhad, so the business does not have an owner, so every transaction that occur will be recorded by a treasurer. There are a lot of transactions occur and financial data that need to be recorded like sales transaction, purchase transaction, salary and membership fees and also general expenses. The example of general expenses are like supplies, internet expense, water and electricity expense. Sales will be recorded daily based on point of sales, while purchase will record twice a week based on the related documents, and the other expenses like salary and electricity expense will be recorded monthly. The accounting basis used by Halal Mat MSF is a mixed basis of accounting. Under this method, both cash basis and accrual basis are used. Most of the sales are on cash basis, while purchases are accrual basis because it's not involve any cash transaction. But there is an assumption for purchases made from Gardenia Bakeries Serenjang Berhad, which is the purchases use the cash basis. When Halal Mat MSF use accrual basis for expenses, actually it is better because accrual accounting includes account payable as a result. It is more accurate picture of the profitability of the business, particularly in the long term. Next, I will continue the presentation with the accounting process of the Halal Mat MSF. The first one is the transaction will be occur. Example of common transaction is the sales and purchases. For every transaction, there will be a proof of documents like receipt, invoice or bills. Next step is the treasurer will record the transaction based on the document that is related. Every transaction that has been recorded will be updated in the UBS system by collecting all the data from the various sources such as invoice and related documents. Once all the information has been recorded, treasurer will be analysed and present the performance of the business in the monthly meeting. The member of the organization will assess the performance by looking at the sales, profit and also the expenses. The trend of the purchases from customer will be used to plan the purchases from supplier, so there will be no excess of products. So I think that's all from me. So next I will pass to Nur Sharat to continue the presentation with part 4. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Syara binti Shamsuddin, metric number 281619. So for the next section, I will explain about the operating issues or problems that faced by Halal Mat MSF. So for the first part, I will explain first about the operating issues and then it will continue by my group members which is Wu Zingi and explaining about the other operating issues and also reflections. Budgeting is very important for business as it can help in planning for strategy and also encourage business to spend wisely and avoid unnecessary expenses. So in real practice, our selected business, which is Halal Mat MSF, also apply budgeting system in the business as the cooperative member are aware of its importance. According to one of the internal auditor of the business, Halal Mat MSF did practice and prepare for master budget annually, and the preparation process is done for 3 years consecutively, which means in 2021, the business will prepare master budget for 2022 until 2024. However, although the business has implemented budgeting system, the business still facing some of the operating issues. The first issue is the business is lack of specificity in preparing budget. This is due because the business only focus and prepare on master budget and does not prepare any detailed and specific budget. This could be an issue where through this master budget, it only shows the value and amount as a collective sum of expenses and earnings. Hence, the problem arises when the business is unable to determine and analyze the detailed information about the estimation value for each department specifically. The next problem is the business is facing some difficulty to gather information or inputs when they want to make budget. One of the factors on why this problem arises is because the business only focuses on sales or revenue transactions. This can be proven as the business only records sales transactions on daily basis. Meanwhile, the other transactions such as inventory, purchases, and other cash disbursement transactions are not recorded consistently. This causes the business is hard to estimate value for purchases, inventory, and cash disbursement budgeting. As the business does not really consistently record for cash disbursement, the business had experienced one problem with the supplier, which caused the purchasing transaction fail. This is due because the business does not have a budgeted cash disbursement and cause the business forget to fulfill all the requirement by the supplier, which is to deposit certain amount of money before proceed the purchasing order. Besides, the issue faced by Halal My MSF is the business is still struggling to set realistic value in budgeting. Based on the auditor, the business preparing the budgeted by using an incremental budgeting technique where the previous budgeted value will be added by incremental rate that already set by the business, which is about 5 to 10% or approximately to RM5,000 ringgit Malaysia. It is good that the business has a consistent technique applied in budgeting. However, this method is not considered to some other external factor that will affect the realistic value in budgeting, such as the fluctuation of economy, trend and customer demand, and other external factors. Thus, as the business has set the budgeting by following the incremental rate and not considering some other external factor, then the business is hard to set a realistic and attainable value in budgeting. Next, the business is also face a hard time to achieve its budgeted sales. This is due somehow related to the previous issue, which is set a realistic value in budgeting. For instance, in 2021, the business has set its targeted sale to achieve, which is amount to 270,000 ringgit Malaysia for a year. However, up until now, the auditor said that the number of actual sales in 2021 is still far to achieve and lower than the budgeted sales. This is might due because this previous year, the current economy in Malaysia is tremendously fluctuates and drop due to the impact of pandemic COVID-19. And the other factor that caused the targeted sale is hard to achieve is because the business is not set the realistic value in budgeting, which is the business only based on the incremental rate and not based on the external factor that will affect the realistic value in budgeting, such as the current economy, the customer demand, and also trend. So I think that's all for me. Next, my friend will continue explaining about the other issues and also reflections. Thank you.
There are some issues that could be the reason the budgeted sales are not achieved. Firstly, low exposure of Halal Mart. Although Halal Mart is already located strategically, which is near the mosque, but the shop is not facing the main road, which will not be easily noticed by passersby. Next, lack of marketing strategy. Halal Mart does not prepare any budgeting that relates with marketing, like marketing budgeting. During COVID-19 pandemic, people tend to buy groceries through online instead of buying at physical store. Hence, Halal Mart should think of an initiative to get to customers instead of waiting for customers to come and buy. Halal Mart also faces the problem of lack of employees. The employees from cooperative already have their own fixed occupation. They are managing the business voluntarily during their leisure time. By this scenario, information is hard to gather. After collecting all the information that related to budgeting plan applied in Halal Mart and SF, there is a slightly difference exists between the practices of budgeting applied in the real current business of Halal Mart and the theoretical knowledge that we learn from the syllabus. Firstly, difference in budgeting period. In theoretically, the master budget is usually prepared for one fiscal year, which corresponding to 1 year and will be broken down into quarterly and monthly budget for further analysis. However, in practical, Halal Mart MSF prepares the budget on annual basis for 3 consecutive years. This is because Halamat is lack of employees to prepare budget, and the process of making and analyzing the proper budgeting plan is time consuming. Next, difference in complexity of information to prepare budget. Theoretically, budget plan will be prepared by considering many data such as sales, purchase, and all expenses. However, Halamat includes only sales, purchases, and salary expense when budgeting. Overall, Halamat has good budgeting plan but hard to set a realistic budgeted amount. Halamat should consider to prepare and analyze the budgeting plan more frequent so that they are able to
Assalamualaikum Doctor, my name is Shazim Matusha and I will be presenting the solutions to the issues faced by the cooperative. So, the first solution would be for the cooperative to prepare a more detailed master budget. From the interview, we got to know that Halal Mart MSF's master budget only consists of sales, purchases and also salary expenses, where all of them are stated in a sum of expenses and earnings. Therefore, it's important for them to take into account other expenditures such as rent and utility bills and also cash disbursement to supplier. This is to ensure that the budget will be more accurate and reliable in helping them reach their goal. This can be done by preparing a cash budget and also an operational budget to keep track of cash flow and other expenses incurred by the coop. As we know, their suppliers require the cooperative to pay a deposit every time they place an order. Thus, having a cash disbursement budget will ensure that the cooperative will always have enough cash to pay the deposit when demanded by supplier. Other expenditures such as utility bills and rent should also be taken into consideration when preparing the budget to prevent any underestimation of expenses in the budget. The next solution would be to break down their budgets to smaller periods. As we know, Halal Mart MSF prepares their budget for every 3 years. So typically, an organization would prepare their budget for 1 fiscal year, then it will be broken down to either quarterly or monthly budgets. Dr. Zarfan has also stated in the interview that the cooperative realized at the end of each year, when they were reviewing back the budget made, they realized that they could not achieve the targeted sales and profit. By breaking down the budget to smaller periods, they would be able to compare budgeted and actual data more frequently, and also to ensure that the cooperative is on track with their plan. If they see any figures of sales or profit that are not too favorable, then they could plan out a strategy to increase their sales by either increasing their marketing or having more promotions. So, by breaking down the budget to smaller periods, it will help the management to notice any problems faced earlier so it could be resolved faster. Other than that, by having a short-term cash budget, it will ensure that Halal Mart would have enough money to pay off any debts or deposit owed to their suppliers. Lastly, Halal Mart MSF should have an updated record of all transactions at all times. In the interview, Dr. Zarfan stated that sometimes they find it hard to prepare the master budget because some of the information needed is not available. This is due to the business not recording some transactions on time and not keeping the documents systematically. The only data that is up to date are their sales record, which is updated via the point of sales or POS system. Dr. Zarfan also stated in the interview that their inventory record has not been updated in a while. When they do not record some of the transactions on time, there is a possibility for them to miss out on certain transactions. This leads to incorrectly stating values in the financial statement and also having incomplete records. Therefore, the cooperative should set some rules and principles for the treasurer to follow when recording transactions to the system. For example, the treasurer should update the record of inventory every time new stocks come in. and also have a weekly check of inventory to ensure that the number of inventory in the store matches the amount of inventory in the system. By doing this, it will also ease the retrieval of any past records when needed. For example, if the management wanted to refer to a specific receipt and there is no proper keeping of the documents, then it will be difficult for them to find it. Other than that, it also helps them to make better decisions and stay ahead of the competitors.
Good day, everyone. I'm Lee Jae-in, metric number 278659. I will continue to present about the experience gained from the project and recommendations to the business. Through the e-service learning project, we have gained knowledge regarding the real-world business managing, planning, and controlling processes. We found that besides financial and operating issues, management issues will lead to poor business performance. Thus, it is crucial to improve business management to make a successful business. We also noticed that the implementation and achievement of a target is far more difficult than preparation of a budget. Cooperation between management and workers is needed in order to achieve the target goals. We are also aware that there are always a difference between budget and actual performance. The size of difference relies heavily on the accuracy of input information and cooperation between management and workers. Now I will talk about some recommendations to solve their issues. First is digitalize the business. One of the digitalization ways is involvement in e-commerce. The ultimate goal of the involvement is to increase sales by reaching more customers, especially during COVID-19 pandemic. It is also an effective way to solve the problem of disadvantaged location and low exposure of the business. Marketing activities can also be done online in a cheaper and more effective way, either through e-commerce sites or social media platforms. Second suggestion is conducting market research. Market research is a systematic approach to get data on target customers and market. In the case of Halal Mart MSF, a few elements should be considered in market research, including market segment, market trends, buyer persona, competitor research, product marketing, and product pricing. Third recommendation is distributing workload among cooperative members. The business is suggested that each cooperative member is assigned even job responsibilities. The issue of insufficient time allocated for business management can be resolved if all members free up a little time for business oversight. Besides, when every member is involved in managing the data, the probability of error or fraud is minimized because different persons are engaged in data processing. Next recommendation is improving the reliability of budget. A reliable budget is complete and realistic. In terms of completeness, the business is highly recommended to prepare a proper financial budget, which is cash budget instead of focusing on salary expenses only. The management will be notified of any excess or deficiency in cash and further plan for the use or source of funds. Besides, the cost of contingency can be included in the cash budget to reserve cash for unexpected events. A realistic budget should combine the use of historical data and financial goals after considering market variables. The ideal budgeted goals would be the median between historical data and financial goals. The last suggestion is evaluating budget frequently. Halal Mart MSF is expected to review budgets at least quarterly. Corrective action can be taken as soon as the variance between actual performance and budget is discovered. That's all from me. Thank you. Now, I am going to present about the conclusion. For the conclusion, Halal Mart MSF will prepare budget for 3 years but does not have a financial planning. There are 7 issues faced by Halal Mart MSF, which is does not have a specific budget, difficult to collect information about transactions, struggling to set a realistic budget, hard to achieve targeted sales, lack of marketing strategy, lack of employees, and lack of exposure of the business. There are two differences between the theoretical and real life. First is, budget will be prepared for one fiscal year based on the theoretical knowledge, but Halamat MSF prepare budget for 3 years annually. The second is, based on the theoretical knowledge, the business will use system to record all the transactions. However, in real life, the system updated on daily basis for sales transaction only. There are a few solutions that our group give to the Halamat MSF. The first solution is be more detailed when preparing the master budget. The second solution is break down the budget to smaller periods. And the third solution is having an update record of all transactions. There are also some recommendations that our group give to the Halamat MSF. The first recommendation is digitalizing the business. Second recommendation is conduct market research. The third recommendation is distribute workload among cooperative members. The fourth recommendation is improving the reliability of the budget. The fifth recommendation is evaluate the budget frequently. That's all from me and our group. Thank you.